Hi everyone, how do you do? As I promised, today I'm going to show you how to create a searchable drop-down list in Microsoft Excel. For example, in this page, I have a long list of my students' names, and if I click on the drop-down list, finding a specific name is kind of a hard job. For solving this problem, today I will show you how to create a searchable drop-down list. For example, if I search for JSON, I can only see the names that contain JSON. Are you ready for a challenging video? Let's get started. I have a list of students' names and I want to create a searchable drop-down list in this cell. But for your better understanding, first I create it in this cell. For example, I want to look for Saeed names in the list. So I type Saeed. Let me copy the format from this cell to this cell. It's better. For searching an item in one cell and looking for it in another cell, you have to use the search function. In this cell, I type equal search. The first part of the argument is find text. In this section, you have to select the item you are looking for. I am looking for Saeed, so I select this cell, comma. The second part of the argument is within text, and you have to select the cell that you want to see if the searched item is in it or not. I am looking for Saeed in this cell, enter. The result is 1. It means Saeed starts from the first character in the cell. If I change Saeed to Faal, the result is 7. And if I change Faal to Lily, I get an error, which means Lily doesn't exist in the selected cell. Alright, let me change Lily to Saeed again, but I don't want to search only in one cell. I want to look up through the entire names. To do that, double-click on the formula and click on the within text item in the argument. And instead of selecting one cell, select all the names. Enter. The formula spills to other cells, and I can easily see which cell contains Saeed. But as long as we have errors in the list, we can't use it in other formulas. So we need to get rid of these errors. To do that, we have to use the IFERROR function. Double-click on the formula and type IFERROR in the first part of the formula, and double-click on it in the suggested functions. The first part of the argument is already selected. It is the search function. Add a comma. For the value IFERROR, you have to specify what Excel should show you if an error happened. In this case, I want to see 0, so type it in and close the parentheses and press enter. Now you can see the results. It is time to use a function to show only the items that are greater than 0. I mean, I have to eliminate the 0 items from the list. Can you tell me which function I have to use? The filter function. We learned the filter function in this video completely. The link is in the description. In this cell, I type equal filter. For the array section, I select the entire table, comma. In the include section, I have to define my condition. The condition is if the values in these cells are greater than 0. Enter. Now I can see the items that contain Saeed. If I double-click on the formula and select the include section in the argument, you can see the true and false, which are dependent on the condition. And the filter function only returns the true values. Since the condition was for the values greater than 0, you see these 3 items in the filtered list. But for the drop-down list, I only need the names, and other columns are not necessary. So I need to edit my formula. Double-click on it and select the array item in the argument. This time, instead of selecting the entire list, only select the names. Let me add the third part of the argument too, because I want to. If I searched for a name that does not exist in the list, Excel show me the not in the list message. Enter. Let me delete these. Now, if I instead of Saeed search for Brad, I can only see the names that contain Brad. Alright, we did it. We created a searchable list. Now it is time for drop-down list. Right now we are searching for the names in this cell, but I want to define my drop-down list in this cell. Select the cell and press Ctrl X and paste it in here. Let me remove the formatting from these two cells. This transformation doesn't affect your formula at all. If I double click on the formula in this cell, the address of F5 is changed to B3. So everything is good, don't worry. Now I want to create the drop-down list. Select the B3 cell and from the Data tab, click on the Data Validation icon. I want to define a list and I want to return the results of the filter function as drop-down list. So select the first cell that contains formula and add a hash sign at the end. The hash sign is telling Excel to return the entire array. In this case, we have 4 items in the array. But if you search for another name, your returning array will change. So this hash sign is forcing Excel to show all the new returning array in the drop-down list. Click on OK. Now if I search for Saeed, I get an error alert because by default Excel won't let me type in the items that are not in the drop-down list. And Saeed is a part of the name. As long as you haven't entered the entire name, Excel will show you this alert. So we need to deactivate this feature in the drop-down list. Click on the data validation icon. Select the error alert tab and uncheck the show error alert option. Click on OK. Now I can easily search for any name. For example, if I search for Justin, I see not in the list message. But if I search for Saeed, I can see 3 different names that contain Saeed. I want Saeed Faal, so I select it. For the rest of the columns, I can use the XLOOKUP function. I type equal XLOOKUP. I am looking for Saeed Faal, comma. Saeed Faal is in this range, comma. And I want to return all these 3 columns. Enter. Congratulations, you created a searchable drop-down list. Before I start the next part, please take a look to see if you have already subscribed to the channel or not. If you haven't, please consider subscribing. These cells are the results of this function, and I used these cells in the include section of the filter function. So instead of referencing these cells, I could use this function directly inside the filter function. To do that, first let me copy this formula and replace it with the mentioned array. First I have to highlight it and press Ctrl V. Now the filter function is going to calculate the search function internally, and we don't need these cells anymore. Press enter and delete these cells. Alright, it is time to type in the function like a professional. First, let me delete this function. I type equal search. I am searching for this name, comma. Within these names, enter. It is time to remove the errors from the list. Type in the if error in the first part of the formula, and I want to see 0 instead of errors. Enter. For the last step, I have to filter my list and only show the values greater than 0. In the first part of the formula, I type filter and double click on it in the suggested formulas. For the array section, I only want to return the names, comma. In the include section, the condition is to show the results of this function if they are greater than 0. Close the parentheses, enter. Do you see that? It wasn't hard at all, was it? Now, if I select RJ from the list, I can see RJ's information. If the presence of this formula is bothering you, you can hide its column. And if you had anything to do with it, unhide the column. You know, we usually use the drop-down list in other sheets, especially when we have a huge list. So you can cut these cells and paste them in another sheet. But remember, since we have changed the sheet, you need to update the drop-down list referencing. Select this cell and go to data validation. I have to change the source. Select master list sheet and select this cell. Don't forget to add a hash sign at the end. Click on this icon and OK. Now if I search for Jason, I can easily find him. Exercise. I want you to create a searchable drop-down list for this list. You can download the file in the description. Alright, it was all for today's video. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring the notification bell, and I'll see you in next video.